I've seen every time an Indian Prime Minister would go to Canada or to the US or to Europe, there'd be a bunch of Khalistanis who would
burn
go
the
from
flag.
and they burn the flag. And I've seen this with my own eyes that there would be nobody from the Indian side
Yeah.
shouting them down. They'd come there, about 15 of them, yell, scream, tear the flag, burn the flag, and leave. And I would always ask the Indian High Commissioner or the Indian Ambassador that why is it that the Indian community is not coming and doing anything else, right?
They didn't care.
Nobody cares. They're going to do this for the next 5 minutes and go. So if you want to take pictures, you can take pictures. But look at the local media. Nobody's covering it. So why are you bothering? That would happen. But now I'm seeing a retaliation happening. Good, bad, what? Is it good?
There's good and bad, right?
Inevitable.
That's the right word. It's inevitable because the history of the Indian community is they take it, and then it reaches to a point because the Indian community is the classic not in my backyard NIMBY phenomenon suffering community, and now it's reached their backyard. Which is why I always say the incident at the Hindu Sabha Mandir of Brampton, because it's not just any mandir, it is the Hindu Sabha Mandir. It has the Hanuman Murti, the biggest Hanuman Murti. It is a pillar of the community. People like my father-in-law and many other people in the 80s and the 90s, they started struggling to find land, to raise money. A lot of blood and sweat went into that temple. I've taken Daniel. It's a giant campus. Like it's a giant real estate. It's a matter of pride for the community over there. Smita, 60% to 50% to 60% of the people who come to the Mandir daily are the Sikh community.
Yeah, so that, like, one thing you pointed out to me, and I see it now in India, and not that I didn't believe you, but now I can say I have observed this with my own eyes. For Indians, you have temples all over here. Temples here are fundamentally different than temples in Canada. It makes sense. Because you can have temples here, temples around just for a god to throw a prayer.
Sure.
But temples in Canada are temples and community centers.
Yeah.
Right? So they have sort of this dual function. They're big, and whereas I went into temples
They're
here,
doing pension
like, exactly
distribution at
exactly right. So like the temples in Canada tend to be general, right? Big general, right? And in India you can have this one's for Shiva, this one's for Ganesh, this one's for whatever.
There everything is
right.
In one
Everything
place.
for just an eclectic bunch of different temples, because you have tons of people. They could be big, they could be small, they could be whatever, and you saw people. Khalistanis with Khalistani flags whacking people with Khalistani 2x4s on the temple ground. That was and like as a Canadian, like that was a new level of like we've had churches burning, and Justin Trudeau says so. When you think of like Justin Trudeau, it's just Hindus or
more
dirt,
than 100
right?
Churches have
we're
been
more than
burnt.
100 churches have been vandalized since Trudeau did this whole like. It's so weird. Like we wanted to believe that we had done a genocide against the Indigenous and we had found a mass grave. Turns out there were no bodies. But we had like the flag at half-mast for like 6 months until one Indigenous community, like I think it was I can't remember, might have been the Mohawks or whatever. One Indigenous community was like, put the fucking flag back up. What are you doing? Because we need to lower the flag for half-mast for like to remember the veterans of our community that fought for this country, right? So put it back up so we could put it down for a day and then put it back up. This means nothing, right? And then because everyone's what are you doing? But finally because some Indigenous community was like, stop it. Right? Then it was put back up. But you had this thing where churches get burned, but that's in the middle of the night. Synagogues get vandalized and fire burned and all this. But this was a middle of the day, on camera, attack from a group onto a religious ground, and they pretty much got away with it. They had an off-duty cop who was part of the thing. Part of it.
It's very disturbing.
And had it not been for social media,
everything would have been. Imagine, I take you back. The attempts to put it on the CBC were killed. And then the spin comes on the CBC. If we did not, that one brave woman who pretty much took all the videos, the community should salute her. She
did an
that
excellent
alone.
he was on leave or something, right?
Oh my God, she was serving the members,
Yeah.
the senior citizens inside. And when she came outside, and if she was not there at that time, being brave enough, and you remember how she was yelling, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit, and she was going, oh my God, and she was shooting. Like that brave woman. The community owes her so much that if she would not have exposed what happened,
I couldn't have shared the videos. She
None
made
of
good
us.
videos. She narrated. that's the type of thing like I try and preach to people. Like, you need some physical courage and some moral courage to do it. And physical courage doesn't mean you go and fight. Physical courage means you can just stand there, hold your camera, and get it on video, and take a bit of a risk there. And because she was courageous and like held her cool and was able to get that all on video, it was able to be exposed. And like then us social media rabble rousers, fake news, bad guys, foreign interferers, I was able to foreign interference the video into public consciousness, and then
all Indian TV channels picked it up,
Yeah.
and it became a big thing. Indian
Yeah,
media picked it up,
and this is why the Justin Trudeau Canadian establishment and their relationship with the media is pure jealousy. Honestly, it's just pure jealousy, because they know they cannot beat you in numbers. Because Canada has a very small market by itself, and even inside Canada, I think ANI might get more views than the CBC.
They get no views. Like, no one cares. The only time they get views is like when they do something so crazy that people share it. The only views they get is like rage bait at how bad they are. So it's when they put out.
I cannot explain the amount of times I have seen. I'm not talking about random white Canadians taking out clips of Indian media, whether it's you guys, whether it's any other mainstream channel, and playing it and doing reaction videos to it.
Okay, and the reason
They hate Indian media.
And I'll tell you a bit of Canadian psychology.
It's also, I think Canadians find it difficult to understand why there's rage against Canada. It's not rage against Canada.
No.
It's rage against...
Okay,
No,
he's here.
we understand. We totally understand it.
Do you get that?
No,
I mean,
Canadian piece.
Indians
Okay.
by nature like Canadians, because
I know.
like the Canadians are like
So this is, most
nice
Canadians get
people.
So where Canadians go like sometimes Indians go like, oh, we hate Trudeau more than you do. It's like, no, you don't. Okay, there's some crazy Trudeauans, but like it's like, okay, Trudeau to India is this annoying buzzing fly that it's keeping me up at night, and then maybe it bit you and you're like, oh, itchy, and that's irritated. Ugh. Canadians, Justin Trudeau burned down your house and then put out posters in the neighborhood and blamed you for it, and is like, and then like he burned down your house, stole your car, and then put a media outlet saying, this lunatic burned his house, don't worry, I will save you, and then burn down your cottage. Like that's
triple whammy.
It's like he annoys you. To a lot of Canadians, he ruined in life is like the level of. So when they see a foreign country being mad at Trudeau, they're like, yeah. And the reason why they're so afraid of Indian media is because the Canadian psyche and a lot of things. Like, Canadians love Canadians, but we have great artists, and Canadian artistic talent is pretty high quality. But we don't really embrace Canadians until they've made it in another country, usually America, and then they become Canadian icons. Canadian media doesn't cover things until a foreign media comes. So they're afraid of you, because when foreign media starts talking about Canadian issues, then they have to do it. So the governments, of course, because they pissed off India so much, they have to call you all Godi media, Modi spies, and like with that, like, oh, is Amit Shah behind the thing? Like, where is he? Where's Modi? Right? This whole thing, right? It has to be, and it's pure projection because they're all paid by Trudeau, right? So they have to fully discredit you and make sure the Canadians never listen to you or try. But Canadians don't trust the establishment anymore, post-COVID, all this different stuff, Trudeau, right? Because they know how the Canadians work. Once Canada becomes an international story, then Canadians pay attention, right? So they want Indian media gone, unless you're saying nice things, right? If we did this and like, Justin Trudeau is a brilliant man, isn't he the most handsome person ever? And he really increased the diversity climate
it's like
change.
somebody
Of blah, blah,
rubbing
blah.
chalk on a blackboard. You know what I mean?
So that's the thing, which is why, Smita, ask yourself, they never did a dedicated report on any media group or aggregator, right? Ever. But they specifically handpicked the Indian media. And they did an entire report on the Indian media.
They didn't do it on China.
No, Indian media is not perfect. I've been very critical.
And China has hostile media they've taken over inside Canada that pushes like anti-Canadian rhetoric in Mandarin, in everything that is the Epoch Times.
Media.
Do subscribe to the ANI Clips channel to get shorter versions of this podcast. Click here to watch the full episode.